Apocalypse Wow! Redux. The last time we left Harold camping, he was proclaiming the rupture would begin on May 21st. As we know, it did not. To save face, camping said an unseen spiritual judgment had taken place. The actual destruction of the Earth will now happen on October 21st. Now Germany's space agency says one of its old satellites will fall out of orbit and strike the Earth, possibly on that exact date. Is this the work of divine intervention intended to condemn us all to a fiery death? And no one is safe from the wrath. Scientists are still uncertain exactly where the debris will land.
想成为我们的动画人物吗？相关资讯请上脸书。Get animated. Find out more on Facebook.
Well, welcome again to another edition of the Christian Road Warrior, dealing with false doctrine from Harold Camping. It is not May 21st, but October the 21st. And if you will remember, Harold Camping, out of Family Radio in Oakland, said that the Lord would return in rapture on May the 21st. Well, we know that fizzled out, didn't happen. And then he came up with the cultic excuse that it was an invisible return. But I'm going to let you hear Harold Camping for yourself. As you see, I have the full broadcast up, but I'm not going to play the full broadcast. Just a couple of sections from this, and then after he had his stroke in June, I believe it was, I'm going to play a clip from that right here and make a few closing comments. But let's just hear Harold Camping's excuse on May the 23rd, or at least hear a part of what he said on May the 23rd.
But now the world has been told the world is under judgment, and the finish of that 5 months is 5 months from now, from May 21, will be, as we learn from the Bible, October 21. It's the same. We aren't changing a date at all. We're just learning that we have to be looking at all of this a little bit more spiritual, but it won't be spiritual on October 21, because the Bible clearly teaches that then the world is going to be destroyed altogether. And
so you heard him say it yourself, folks. It won't be spiritual on October 21st. Well, today is October 21st. And to be exact, we're a couple of hours into October 21st. And, well, nothing's happened. But, as you will soon see, in our next clip coming up, he's going to make it, at least on his website, not here, but on his website, he's going to make an interesting excuse just in case nothing happens. And you'll hear that in a minute, but let's just finish the rest of this clip.
But it'll be very quick. It won't be a 5 months terrible difficulty as we thought it was. That we have learned is we've been taught. You know, the fact is, when you study the Bible, you're always learning, always learning. We had all of our dates correct. We had all the proofs correct. They don't change at all. Every proof, every sign is all correct. The only thing is, God had not opened our eyes yet to the fact that May 21 was a spiritual coming, whereas we had thought it was a physical coming, but he has come. He has come in a sense that he now has the world under judgment.
Okay, so Jesus has come invisibly to bring judgment. The problem is that you can't tell any real significant difference between May 19th or the 20th and May 21st. You see. So how do we know that the Lord came, except it just be because you said it and because you have some alleged proofs? See, this is absolute nonsense, people. And it's in direct contrast to the things we see in the Bible, where when God gives a prophetic word, he's very specific, and he does it in such a way that when it happens, you know it was him. Okay? A good example would be in the book of Isaiah. I believe it's chapters 44 and 45, where God gives a prediction. I think it was a couple of hundred years before it happened, where he called out Cyrus by name to be a ruler, and that Cyrus would allow the Jews to return to their homeland, and that happened exactly as it prophesied before the man was born, and it was done about hundreds of years before he was born. So we know that when God gives a prophecy, it comes to pass as he said, and this is not from God. So here is now you heard what the camping said here. Let's go to another clip. I'll just find the spot here. I think it was 4140, if I can get close to it. Okay, let's check this one out.
Lead other folks. There is no possibility that you might make it. Well, if my life and the life of many others is we keep studying the Bible, and if we found that we made a mistake, immediately we're going to correct that. Of course, we have not made a mistake insofar as the timeline, the unfolding. We have not.
Well, actually, there were mistakes in the timeline, and most importantly, mistakes in interpretation, hermeneutics. The art and science of interpreting the Bible properly, which he should have learned somewhere in some good Bible school to keep him from such errors. Anyway, just goes to show you that just because you're a civil engineer doesn't make you a Bible engineer, if you will.
Correct homework and understanding the nature of May 21, but it is the fact is there. It was not a judgment day that was visible. It's an invisible judgment day.
Invisible judgment day sounds just like the cults. So how are we to tell if there's a judgment if we don't see any judgment? Doesn't make sense.
It's a spiritual judgment day, but it is judgment day. The world is under judgment today, just like.
And basically that's because you say it, and that's not going to fly. All right, so getting back to the other clip, Camping clearly said, right, that on October 21st it won't be spiritual. Well, it's October 21st, nothing has happened, and let's hear what Camping had to say after his stroke, and let's see the contradiction. You see, if the world is going to end, that's not something that happens quietly. Usually something happens, we're expecting some type of cataclysm, some type of earthquakes and all kinds of crazy things going on. I think there's a passage in the Bible that talks about the earth passing away with fervent heat. I believe that's in the 2 Peter. So that's not something that's going to happen quietly, even according to the Bible. But let's see what Camping has to say. After his stroke, he seems to have a change of heart.
There will be no pain suffered by anyone because of their rebellion against God. This is very comforting to all of us because we all have children and we have loved ones that are dear to us that we know are not saved, and yet we know that they'll quietly die. We can become more and more assured that they'll quietly die, and that will be the end of their story. Whereas the true believers will quietly receive the new heaven and the new earth. I really am beginning to think, as I re-studied these matters, that there's going to be no big display of any kind. The end is going to come very, very quietly, probably within the next month. it will happen. That is by October 21. In the meanwhile, all
Okay, you heard him say it yourself, folks. The end, all of a sudden, after a stroke and after his recovery, and we do wish him well after such an ordeal. But I thought that maybe he would have learned to not do this and to not make these types of predictions. But it seems like he's learned a little something, but not enough. Okay, because as I said in an article I wrote for my school newspaper, um, this is very interesting in how he seems to win no matter what. Before he said that the world would end and it wouldn't be spiritual. And usually when the world is going to end, that's something that you can't hide. Now all of a sudden everything's going to go very, very quietly. Let's see what it says in 2 Peter chapter 3. Okay. Starting at verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with what? A great noise. And the elements will melt with fervent heat. Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burnt up. And then, of course, verse 12 says, looking for and hastening the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be dissolved, being on fire, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. That doesn't sound like very, very quietly to me. And so, I just, Brother Camping has just simply messed up on May 21st with the excuse on May 23rd. He's messed up again after his stroke. And you've even had people speculating that a comet called Elenin was going to be a part possibly of God's judgment. And as you can see by this article here, Doomsday Comet Elenin zips by in Reese's Pieces. I just added that part, but it zipped by in pieces. So, I mean, nothing of any significance here. This is a Christian Road Warrior, just simply telling you to stick with the Word, to pray and learn Scripture well, so that you're not fooled by false claims and predictions, and know the truth, and that truth make you free. And I will leave you with a video by a new group of artists that I found on YouTube called the Exodus Movement. Some really, really powerful stuff. Check it out.
so your boy never thirsty. Look through the good and the bad, he stay the same. They got me at attention like major pain. I'm free, but I used to be a slave in chains. Real talk, that's why I praise his name. Doing major things. From the womb to the tomb, roll 3 day later, I'm higher than the moon. No way you can fit my Messiah in the room. Try to pull out the Holy Ghost fire, kaboom.
I lift his name on the constant weather through joy and pain. Amazing grace, I'm saved by his name. The same has put death to shame. Life's never gonna be the same. Spit a rhyme to your mind to increase his fame. Hell was burned from my soul, but he quenched the flames. His blood was shed in pain so the world could change.